So remember my Marvel Collecting Rules video where I mentioned that I had a couple things that I feel like I didn't need because I had these other things, and I might have already walked back 2 of those. Let's get to the comic haul. It's morphin' time! Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to the comic book haul. This is the one for March 2026. And yes, that is a lot of books in front of you. Not as many as some of the hauls have been, but I think it's a pretty stacked month. A lot of new releases, a lot of book buying on sales, also book buying because I have visible shelves now, and now it starts to bug me about certain spines. More on that as we go forward, so good times. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and the notification bell if you haven't already. Appreciate those 2 things quite a bit. Hit the hype button if it's available to you. Also, after this video, check out my collection tour and shelf redo if you haven't, because I did redo my comic shelves, and they're great. I love them, and I'm proud of it, and it's kind of the new setup for comic book videos, going to be in this little corner, and I like it. It's a fun time. But let's get to the comic haul. We got a lot to get through. I'm going to try to be brief so this doesn't end up being 4.5 hours long. All right, let's start with manga. We got Kaiju number 8, volume 15. This is the penultimate volume. We got 1 to go after this point, which will wrap up the series. One of my favorite series. I've talked about it before. Absolutely terrific. Love the release of this having color pages included, but big old battle stuff going down in the next to last volume, and very excited to have the complete set soon. All right, I picked these up on a bit of a whim. It's Dragon Ball Super Volume 1 and Volume 24. This is currently the first volume and the current last volume. My Barnes & Noble had these on buy one, get one half off, and I was like, sure. I don't know. I've read the Super manga. I don't know if I'm going to, like, collect the entire thing. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Kind of depends. I'm not exactly sure. Because I find that the Super manga sometimes glosses over some stuff. It has changes compared to the anime. It's like, it's weird because it's like, sometimes it's original and then the anime adapts from it, and then sometimes like the Universe 6 saga feels like the anime was written first and then the manga is a variation of it. And pretty much the same for all that stuff until you get to the Galactic Patrol saga, which is where the anime is going to start picking up again in the future. So I'm not exactly sure, but I did want to get volume 24, not just because I really like this cover where you've got all the characters on it, but also because you know, while the series is done by Toyo Taro, you know, who is, you know, does a lot of art, but, you know, Toriyama consulted on a lot of this, and there was always a talk of, like, how Toyo Taro would take notes from Toriyama, and this has, like, you know, there's a few panels that was some of the last work that Toriyama did for Dragon Ball, which was, you know, assisting Toyo Taro with the manga. So I thought, yeah, I'll get these 2. Again, I don't know, because the manga hasn't resumed since, you know, they've announced that, like, the anime is coming back and stuff. They haven't done more manga yet, so I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to collect the rest of them, but I thought, well, first and what's technically last at the moment would be kind of fun. All right, Cyberpunk Edge Runners Madness Volume 1. This is a prequel to the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime series focused on Rebecca, and it is delightfully violent. So I can't really show too much on the inside here because it's very violent, as Cyberpunk usually is, and especially Edge Runners. But it is nice if you're a fan of the Edge Runners anime, like, definitely pick it up. It's done by Dark Horse, who does a lot of books, but they do a lot of Cyberpunk books. So I kind of like that all of the Cyberpunk, like, art books and the comics and the manga are all under one publisher, which is pretty nice. But yeah, if you enjoy Edge Runners and want a little bit more, then definitely worth picking up. All right, Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack Beltorchika's Children Volume 3. I did this video about the bleak status of Gundam manga in the US, which you should go check out. And I mentioned in that I hadn't gotten Volume 3, and then I had a commenter kind of mention, like, maybe you probably should, in case they do ever release those other volumes, because they're not going to reprint any of these. And I thought, oh yeah, I probably should. So I got this in. It's a continuing an adaptation of the novel version of the Char's Counterattack movie. So much like I talked about in that video, we don't always get the most exciting of Gundam mangas over here, but I am at least caught up on what we do have currently. Like Gundam Thunderbolt Volume 25. This is also nearing its conclusion. I can't remember if it's 26 or 27 volumes. It recently wrapped, or is wrapping in Japan very soon. This volume is crazy battle stuff. Once again, love the color page inclusions, which I'm glad to see Viz doing. But yeah, another one into the, this is like the one current ongoing Gundam manga that's not like an adaptation of an anime that we're currently getting. So it's pretty nice to see, but still wish we had more Gundam manga over here. And the Sailor Moon train keeps going. It slowed down slightly because I had ordered a volume 3 from Barnes & Noble, and it showed up with a big old ding on the spine, and spine damage is pretty much where I kind of draw a line on stuff. So I got another copy ordered through the store, and it was delivered to the store instead of delivered to home. And so I got that, and then I've been reading it, and then I kind of stopped because I got into a massive DC binge, which we'll talk about later, because some stuff came in, but also, you know, that's kind of going on there. But I've been enjoying it still. I'm going to pick it back up. I need to get, you know, I'm at chapter 18 is my next chapter to read. These Eternal editions I really like because of the size and the color pages and everything, but they are, you know, kind of expensive. So I've been kind of spacing it out. Like, I could maybe do a binge purchase of like the rest of it, but I think I can go one at a time because it does take a little bit of time to read these. These are like 40-something page chapters, and I like spacing it out. I don't necessarily need to binge the whole thing real quick. All right, let's kick off our indie section with this, the G.I. Joe Compendium 3. Why are we looking at this? This came out a while ago. Yes, it did. So if you remember back to my video on this, which was part of the G.I. Joe Kickstarter, I had a misprint where the edge of the paper wasn't properly trimmed and it got folded over. And so I had emailed Skybound way back when I got it, and they said, oh, well, we'll let somebody know and we'll get back to you, and they never did. So I kind of just let it go at that point. But when they announced the second Kickstarter, which is currently on right now, where they're doing the IDW years in a box set, they're also reprinting the Marvel years. And so I thought, all right, time to hit them up again, see what would happen. So to my surprise, I replied using the same email from before, and I was like, hey, you know, I had this issue. I see that you're reprinting the first box set. Is there a chance you can fix the issue for me? And they said, oh yeah, sure, we'll ship it out to you. And I was like, what? Yeah, I guess they maybe had some stock, or they had some customer service stock or something for replacements, but they just sent me a brand new Compendium 3. No issues. I flipped through every page. No problems whatsoever. I expected it to be, you know, at best they would put it in order for when they go to do the reprint that they'd send me, you know, a set of this, but or at least this book. I was hoping they'd send me a replacement as part of the reprint. But they sent it to me while the campaign's still going, so maybe they had some extra copies. Like, maybe they had a few extras they had printed in case something like this happens, because, you know, it's hard to predict when you got like 1,400 pages in a book. You know, not every copy is going to have every page correct. But, yeah, they sent it out, so that was super nice. I can stick this in my box set. I can do something with that. I don't know yet. But, yeah, so thanks, Skybound, for following through and getting me my replacement Cobra book. All right, Dynamite's been on a tear, kind of catching up on stuff. So they've caught up on the Elvira trades now. I think we looked at Elvira and Horrorland in the last haul. We should have. If we didn't, that'd be bad. But anyways, we got Monsterland and Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft, which I always like this comic because she meets H.P. Lovecraft and they have to fight Cthulhu. And H.P. Lovecraft is the villain of this because, as she rightly calls him out for being a horrible racist. I love it. It's fun. Anyways, the Elvira comics are great, and they've been super behind at Dark Horse Trades. There's a whole dispute with Diamond. I think it finally got resolved. I think like there's like 10 or so Dynamite trades scheduled for April 14th, which like is looking to try to catch up on stuff. We'll see what happens. So there may be some more Dynamite stuff coming up. But I've been buying my Dynamites and singles because the trades are taking upwards of like 2 to 3 years. Because Elvira in Monsterland, God, when did this come out? It was like 2023, I think. This was like 2024. And then the 2025 series, which is Elvira meets Harley Quinn, that is still ongoing. So they're actually caught up now in trades, which is nice. Good Dynamite. All right, IDW's been doing some Star Trek collections that I realized I missed the first couple when they came out. They're still available, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I can pick those up. But IDW's been taking and working on making omnibus, quote-unquote, omnibus editions of their Star Trek comics. So this is a standard size, thick paperback, but it's all the Deep Space Nine comics that IDW has published, which is really awesome. So it's got all the miniseries in it. It's got Is it the first one, Fool's Gold, second, Too Long a Sacrifice, as well as Dog of War, and it's got the short stories from the Waypoint specials, which is super awesome, and it's in a nice, like, format. I really like it. Really nice, thick stock paper, which is really cool to see. But they're doing these for a lot of these. They got a Picard Omnibus, they got a Strange New Worlds Omnibus 1, they've got a Voyager Omnibus, a Discovery Omnibus. The Voyager Omnibus bugs me because they put it out, and then they announced the Voyager Homecoming comic, like, kind of close together, and I was like, why didn't you just wait till Voyager Homecoming was done so that the Voyager Omnibus would be complete? But whatever. The thing that fascinates me, though, is we talk about, like, the Epic Collection pricing at Marvel, right? Like, here's Daredevil. We'll look at this in a minute. But you see how this DS9 book is thicker? I don't know page count-wise, but the DS9's got really nice thick paper, really nice hardcover, cover, right? Like, the bend test definitely passes here. And this was $24.99 compared to $49.99. This is literally half the price of a modern Epic Collection. And it's, like, way nicer. It's kind of like it's almost like it's transported from another era. It's very interesting. But, yeah, even IDW prices sometimes are weird. But this one is, like, way lower than I think it should be necessarily. Like, $25 and you're getting all the DS9 comics, like, you really can't go wrong with that. So, high recommendation. I'll probably be picking up the ones that I didn't get that are out. Because I really... I buy all the Star Trek comics monthly, so I don't really like buying the standard trades, but when they do stuff like this, I'm into it. Just like, yeah, just throw all the comics into these nice, consistent volumes. And since a lot of their comics are tie-ins to the Star Trek shows, just do it by show. Alrighty, next up we have Radiant Black, Massive Edition Book 2. This is the second oversized hardcover for Radiant Black. This is containing the second year's worth of comics, so it's 13 to 24, plus the Shift one-shot, which was originally presented as 4 small short stories. So they're presented here as interludes. So you can see it says, interlude, and it's going to have the Shift stories, and they're actually placed throughout chronologically how it lines up with the Radiant Black stories, which I think is really awesome, because there's a lot of good parallels between Shift and Radiant Black. Series is one of my favorites, and I absolutely love it, and so I'm glad to see it's getting the nice hardcover treatment. And this takes us all the way up to the Catalyst War storyline. That'll start the next volume. I think the next volume might be entirely Catalyst War. It also has, of course, a cover gallery, which is pretty standard for standard hardcovers. But it's also got, what I think was neat, is after the cover gallery, it's got the backup stories. These are like one-page kind of gag comics done by different creators. And so I like that they put those together. And then they put in all this extra material about, like, designs and character creation and how we came up with this, and how did we do this animated short with Radiant Black that's online out there, or how did we work on the issue 18 with the continuing format where it's all one long strip of 4 panels at once. Really cool stuff. Plus, like, the Radiant translation key. All for a nice $45 hardcover. And it looks really good with the first one on the shelf. And I really hope we get more of these. They seem to be selling well, and I kind of hope Rogue Sun gets one, because I do really like having my oversized hardcovers for my comics. And none more oversized than a Dark Horse Library Edition. So Dark Horse Library Editions, I haven't talked about these in a minute just because I only own one. I own 2 others. I own the Amazing Screw-On Head one, and then I own this first volume. This is a standard oversized hardcover, and there's a library edition, which, as you can see, it's so big it's bumping my camera stand. Very, very large format book, which is really fun. They've been doing these as hardcover collections, and it's the Cyberpunk comics that Dark Horse publishes monthly, just put together. So this volume has XOXO, which is actually kind of a twisted love story, Kickdown, which is a racing story that actually debuts a car that was later added to the game in an update, and then Psycho Squad, which is a Max Tack story. $60 hardcover, and the thing is, when it comes to these, I wait for these because Dark Horse trades are $20 a piece, right? So the paperback of XOXO is $20, Kickdown is $20, Psycho Squad's $20. That's $60. But if I wait until they put one of these out, I get an big oversized hardcover for $60, plus the bonus materials like the cover galleries and the sketchbooks. So I always wait on Dark Horse stuff to kind of wait and see what they do. And my rule of thumb for Dark Horse that doesn't quite always work out lately is if they put it in a standard size hardcover, they're probably not putting it in a deluxe hardcover, whether it be a library or an omnibus hardcover like with the Hellboy stuff. But recently they just announced a couple Hellboy omnibuses that feature the stuff that was in standard hardcovers. So it's not a perfect rule of thumb, but there's like 3 Cyberpunk comics that weren't published by Dark Horse monthly. Those are like original graphic novels. They haven't put those into a library collection yet, so I have those. But any of the monthly stuff I feel like are going to end up in these. Like they just started another one, and I'm like, okay, 3 miniseries, then a library edition. Also, if you're wondering why I don't show you anything inside, is because that's like the most PG page in the whole book. But yeah, if you like the Cyberpunk universe, then it's a good pickup for sure. All right, I got one art book this month, which is the Castlevania Nocturne Art of the Animated Series, also published by Dark Horse, which is why I just tossed it in here. If you saw the Blu-ray haul, I did talk about how I do love Castlevania Nocturne. And I love the Castlevania animes in general. I know that some of the game fans don't like them, and that's totally valid. Again, I'm a comic book fan, so like I wouldn't be saying like, oh, you don't like the adaptation because it's different. That's bad. No, of course, like that's 100% a valid criticism. For me, I do enjoy these as shows. I'm just not like a big Castlevania fan of the games, but I did really love Nocturne. Like of the 2 shows, I would totally pick Nocturne out of the 2 as my favorite. So of course I had to get the art book for it. I didn't get the art book for the original show. I was like, nah, I just want the art book for Nocturne because it's the one I really adored. What's really cool too is that instead of just being an art book, it has like a ton of behind the scenes info. There's a lot of stuff about the location choices here and the costumes and like the character journeys, and it's got like, you know, of course the character designs. But I thought that was like really neat the way they talked about Richter and like what journey they wanted to take Richter on and that kind of thing. And so yeah, I really like it. It's a really good deep dive. It's the bonus material that you wish existed just in a book form. So pretty good, and it's $55, which is, you know, not as horrible for art books as I've seen, but you know, it's not cheap, but I am happy to have it. All right, moving on to DC. Here's something I didn't technically pay for. So the DC Universe Infinite subscription, which is the digital platform that DC does, their annual plan for the Ultra tier includes a free perk, which is if you buy the annual plan, they send you a free book once a year. And it changes it doesn't change each year. They added a book each year. So this is the 4th book I've gotten because I've been on Ultra since it started because I just thought it was a great deal. And also, because I was an existing DC Universe annual subscriber, when I re-upped to Ultra, they gave it to me at the price of the normal subscription, so I've actually been paying less for it for all these years, and that's until you cancel, you get to keep that price, which I think is pretty awesome. So currently, the new book for the DC Universe Ultra tier annual is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. This is a paperback edition of the deluxe edition, so it is larger than your standard trade. It is just, you know, it's in paperback. And this is pretty cool. They've done these a few years. Now, what they do, I think is great, is like with Marvel Unlimited, they'll send you like the annual kit, which comes with like, you know, a figure and some comics and stuff. It is whatever is the current annual kit. Whereas with this, they send you an email and they say, which book do you want? And so you can pick from, you know, this year's book or any of the prior years. So if you didn't want Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, say you already had it, you have options like Death of Superman, Superman Birthright, or Batman Who Laughs. For me, I have all of them, so I'm just going to keep getting them, even though I duplicate, like Superman Birthright, I already had. Death of Superman, I already had. I didn't have Woman of Tomorrow. I'd never read it because I'm not a big fan of Tom King. And so I'm not a big fan of Tom King's writing, and so I don't usually read Tom King comics. Of course, the Supergirl movie is taking direct inspiration from this comic, down to even lifting dialogue, so I was like, I should probably read it. And I gotta say, it's probably the best thing I've ever read that Tom King has written. And a big part of this is Bill Quislevy's art. This is one of the most gorgeous comic books I have ever seen in my life. And while I'm still looking forward to the movie, I will say that having read the comic, I do wish the movie's visual flair was a little higher. Something a little bit more, you know, color-based, color tone-based. It may look even better when I see it in a movie theater versus like compressed YouTube video quality. But this is a gorgeous comic book. It is absolutely incredible. Like every page just informs the story and tells what's going on, and I think it's incredible. And I really Thought the story was great. It's about revenge. It's about what does revenge do to somebody. It's about, loss and moving forward and stuff. I thought it was excellent. And I really enjoyed it. And anytime the writing may have suffered, because I'm a big fan of Tom King's dialogue in particular, the artwork made up for it. And it's also got some really nice bonuses back here. So I'm really happy with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the movie adapts it, especially because the movie's adding Lobo, who's not in this. But, I mean, this is just a gorgeous comic book. So I'm pretty happy. I'm glad to have read this. It's now... Yeah, it's definitely my favorite thing Tom King's written, but Bill Quisevely makes this whole thing work. Like, this comic works because of its art, more so than its writer. All right, Green Lantern Volume 5, Fractured Spectrum. So this is the Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum storyline. This is in Green Lantern 19 through 24. Current status of Green Lantern stuff is kind of fun. I'm enjoying it. I think just now in the singles, the main Green Lantern title is being passed from being Hal Jordan is the lead to Kyle Rayner, which I think is awesome because I do like Kyle, and they've been kind of setting that up for a while now. This arc is mostly in space, and it's got Hal, it's got Kyle, it's got Carol Ferris as Star Sapphire. A lot of stuff going on, and then it kind of mirrors and connects to the stuff that's going on in Green Lantern Corps, which is, the Green Lantern Corps. So I've been enjoying this run. It's not necessarily like breaking like new bounds, but I think it was a good sometimes you do need a good reset on a group of characters, and I think this is a good reset. And I think Green Lantern Corps is even exceeding the main Green Lantern book. We'll see what happens when Kyle takes over as the lead character in Green Lantern, but I've been enjoying Green Lantern Corps more. But I've been buying both of these because I don't know whenever, are we going to get a compendium of this in the future? Is there going to be an omnibus? I don't know. So I've just been buying the normal trades because I do enjoy this era. It's been fun. Just like I've been enjoying Batgirl. So Tate Bromwell, and this also has a variety of artists like Isaac Goodhart, Takashi Miyazawa, and Mike Spicer. Batgirl, Cassandra Cain, one of my favorites. I think I talked about this in the DC Rules video. It's just like, if it's Cassandra, I'm going to get it. If I don't already have it. This is continuing from where Volume 1 started, where it's going into her family. And family connections is a big core theme for it, which I think is awesome. And I've been enjoying it. I've been reading it monthly, and it's been a good time. So, highly recommend it if you like Cass. Time to talk about some bread and butter. It's the Demon, Etrigan. So we got the Demon, the Birth of the Demon, the first DC Finest collection for Etrigan. This is actually covering a pretty wide spurth. It's 1972 and 1981. This is basically the original Jack Kirby run, plus appearances in other comics. So he shows up in Batman Family, Brave and the Bold, Detective Comics, and Wonder Woman. So for me, I've owned the original Demon by Jack Kirby comic before in a paperback. It's excellent. I love it. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite Jack Kirby works in particular. I think the really heavy magic influence and everything is really cool. And Jack Kirby was writing and drawing all this at the time, and it's excellent. I was reading through this again, and I just flew right through it. It's it's greater than candy because it is substantial, but it's the art's excellent, the panel layouts are awesome, the character work is amazing. I love this comic. So much so that they're releasing an absolute edition of Etrigan, or an absolute edition of the Demon. It's just going to be the Jack Kirby issues. That's coming out later this year. And I thought about skipping this Finest because, well, I've already bought the Etrigan comic. I would already be double dipping with the absolute. Did I want to triple dip? And yeah, I ended up triple dipping because the amount of stuff in here that's not going to be in that absolute edition is actually pretty substantial. Let's see if we get to the end of the Jack Kirby run here. That's 13 of 16. Let's keep going. But basically, once you get past Kirby, you start getting Brave and the Bold issue. There's a Brave and the Bold issue inserted into the Kirby run, which I think is awesome because that's when it came out. Because DC Finest are very publication order focused, which I think is awesome. But you get all this stuff in the back, which is fun, like Brave and the Bold, where he's working with Batman, or some really cool Wonder Woman issues, or he's working with Huntress and Batman families. So I think it's really fun to have these additional contexts. And also, how many Etrigan the Demon collections do we ever get? Shouldn't be that picky. Also, with DC Finest, their cover price is low enough that it's it's not too bad of a deal to be double dipping on this and the Absolute, because I am looking forward to that Absolute edition. All right, some older stuff I picked up. Batman Battle for the Cowl, complete collection. I've been talking about Battle for the Cowl era recently because they announced a Red Robin, compendium. And I have, of course, the Stephanie Brown Batgirl trades. I like this era, also the Grant Morrison Omnis. This era is fun because Bruce Wayne was dead, and the answer came, who's going to pick up the cowl? And so Battle for the Cowl is kind of like the deciding factor. Ultimately, if you do know your comics history, you know who picks it up. But what's cool about this is that I think this is actually the first time they put all this together. It's the main 3-issue Battle for the Cowl miniseries, as well as all the tie-in like one-shots like Arkham Asylum, Commissioner Gordon, and Man-Bat, and all that, plus the Gotham Gazette. You also got Azrael Death's Dark Knight here, Oracle the Cure is here, plus the Secret Sish issue. And it's a pretty nice like reading order. From what I flipped through, I'm like, this looks pretty nice and consistent, but it's cool to have a complete collection of... I mean, it's not like a big event, but it is, I think, a significant event for Batman characters. It also has a cool pull-out poster, which is awesome. I love those. And so it's pretty nice to have. And it's still in print. Like, this thing came out a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of need the main Battle for the Cowl part of the story. Since I have everything with the aftermath, I should get the stuff in the middle. All right, I keep picking up black and white comics. Harley Quinn, black, white, and redder. This is basically, it's Harley Quinn in black and white with red all over. It's black, white, and red. I like black and white comics. I like when they throw in a splash of color. And I wanted to get this. Kind of goes with my Batman black and white compendium I got last time. It was on sale, so I picked it up this time. I need to get Superman red, was it red and blue? Superman red and blue. I still need to get some of the Marvel ones. Getting kind of hooked on the black and white with a little bit of color format. It's my jam. Controversial book time. It's Catwoman, the New 52 Omnibus. So, like a lot of things in the New 52, this book is very misunderstood, but also is subject to many things. So first of all, obviously you can tell they were like, let's go for maximum cheesecake with the gravity-defying breasts of Catwoman. I mean, look, the diamonds are falling, but they aren't. Something's going on there. This is a run that a lot of people remember their first impression of and then never looked back, which is understandable because I think the first issue kind of is genuinely terrible. There was a lot of mandates going around at DC in the early New 52. They weren't really hiring women that much. And they had a lot of editorial decisions that were very misogyny coded, let's say. Were they necessarily what they, are as bad as, it seems? Maybe, maybe not. But there was some decisions, I think Judd Winnick, who wrote the first few issues of this series, went on to say that, like, yeah, there was some things that he didn't want to do that DC editorial told him to do. There's, like, some ridiculous things like, yes, Selina, you look great, but, like, put the costume on. And that's kind of like what kind of goes on in the early parts of this book. There's also, like, a lot of implied sex. I mean, it's pretty explicitly implied, but it's still there. And so the early issues of this book kind of got ridden with like, oh, they're just making it sexy to sell comics. And in some ways it is. But then it kind of develops from there. Like once you have this little argument between Selina and Bruce on a rooftop, it starts to get more interesting because you need to get Selina Kyle, Catwoman, on her own, doing stuff, investigating things, questioning like if she should be close to people because she hurts others by her own existence. And it kind of develops from there. Gwilym March is a great artist on top of just doing the cheesecake. There's a lot of like intensity in the action scenes. It's a fun book. It's not my favorite Catwoman run. I think my favorite might still be the 90s run, which is crazy. It's just the writing in the 90s run is really good. But I do also like the Brubaker and Cook stuff. So, this isn't going to be, jumping over that. But for me, one of the things that's significant is because I was reading this when it came out at the time. For me, where I kind of start to get on board with this run and start to really be locked in on it is when Ann Nocenti takes over writing. Because DC, I think, realized that they barely hired any women to work on their comics. And so Ann Nocenti, pretty famous writer, I think, a lot for Marvel, right? Like Ann Nocenti's work at Marvel, like Longshot, Daredevil and stuff, is pretty well known. But getting Ann Nocenti to write Catwoman was a treat. And I can read it knowing the context of like, oh yeah, some of this was editorially mandated. And you can kind of tell that like some of the stuff is like not where the story was going. But I think it's great. There's this, at the very end of this book, it got kind of hard to revisit this arc at the end where Selina goes into this underground world and there's all these things like the Joker's daughter and there's like warring clans and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is getting where it is. Shout outs to DC editorial though for this collection, because there was this whole thing where Batman Year Zero was going on, which was like part of the New 52 Batman. It was like, oh, here's Batman's origin in the New 52. It was like the first year he was Batman. And they made other books tie into it, like Flash had to tie into it, and of course Catwoman had to tie into it. And so we'd already gotten a Zero issue for Catwoman. That was her origin. So this is supposed to be like her year one type thing. So what DC did is they forced that into every issue that month, because that was kind of like the New 52's thing. So what happened is that when you're reading it monthly, and I don't remember if the trades fix this or not, when you're reading it monthly, you get a giant cliffhanger where Selina's possibly drowning. And then the next issue starts with a flashback of her as a cat burglar, and it's like, what? And then it comes back and does the conclusion of the story arc. But for the Omnibus here, they've flipped these two issues. They put 24 here and 25 first. So that way, you have a proper reading order. So thank you, DC. You did a good job here. Also, I saw some people say in some of the comments I was reading that it was like, why is this 2 volumes? It's a 52 issue series. It's because of the crossovers, I think, because there's some crossover issues and some annuals and stuff that would make this too thick. I don't know if the binding would hold up, so they obviously decided to split it in half. I don't have a problem with that. It does make me, wanting the Ann Nocenti issues in particular, mean that I do have to get the stuff before Nocenti and the stuff after Nocenti, but it's fine because I'm kind of going all in on Catwoman anyways. All right, moving on over to Marvel. This is a thing that was thrown in with an eBay order I made, which is nice. It's the X-Verse X-Men X-Women, which is a collection of all ages X-Men comics featuring, of course, the X-Women. It's mostly Storm, which is nice. Storm, Rogue, Jean, that kind of thing. Fun little collection. These digest sizes for all ages are pretty great. I don't know why they stopped doing them. It's a good way to get kids into comics. That being said, like the DC compacts are still beating in page count and price, so Marvel should rethink their strategy. All right, Emma Frost, White Queen. When this miniseries got announced, everybody was wondering like when it took place, because Emma Frost hasn't been the White Queen in a while. She's been on the X-Men. She's been doing good. It's a flashback series, which they've been doing a lot of these, like harken back to the Claremont era. Some are written by Claremont, some aren't. This one's done by Amy Chu and Andrea DeVito. I liked it. I mean, I like Emma Frost, so it's not like it's, a surprise, but, it kind of gives you a little framing of, like, what period in time. So if you're an old X-Men reader, you can kind of get that. If you're not, you can jump into it. I think the Claremont miniseries, you kind of need to know the previous stories that he's doing follow-ups to. With this, not so much. You can just kind of jump in. It's enjoyable. It's good Emma Frost stuff. Got some backstory stuff. It kind of brings in some of the, later continuity into older points in time for context, which I think is neat. And I quite enjoyed it. It's a fun little time with Emma being Emma, especially in her villain days. All right, Thunderbolt's Doom Strike. This was part of the One World Under Doom tie-ins. It's a follow-up to Jackson Lansing and Calvin Kelly's Thunderbolts run, which I don't own and trade. And it's not here because of Doctor Doom, because I'm not going to get all the One World Under Doom tie-ins. I'd be buying a ton of books. It's here because Sal Romero, Ghost Rider, is in it for like 3 of the 5 issues. And because I never expect to get a collection of Sal Romero Ghost Rider stuff, then I just gotta get whatever comes out, right? I have, the second volume of Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk, a Hellhunters miniseries where he's like the lead, and then this, which he just shows up in for a little bit. He is the Ghost Rider of World War II, for context, and he's awesome. That's why I got this. All right, moving into Epic Collections, we got Daredevil Modern Era Epic Collection, the Murdoch Papers. This is Volume 5. This is the last of the Bendis run before the Brubaker run starts. And funny, we already got Volume 6, which I thought was weird. They were going in order. They started at 2, but they went 2, 3, 4, 6, then 5. And then we don't know what one's next. Is it going to be 1 or is it going to be 7? But yeah, for some reason they delayed the last Bendis volume to now. I've been enjoying the modern Daredevil epics because they include every issue. For Bendis and Brubaker's Omnis, they just did the Bendis and Brubaker issues, so I've been enjoying the Omnis for this point in time. I imagine that the epics will just continue forward. It'd be nice. I think it would be nice, actually. I do want to read. Well, I've been reading more of the Brubaker on Marvel Unlimited because I'm like, I've only got like 20 some odd issues left, and then I'm kind of caught up on Daredevil. So I was like, maybe I should, just keep reading. But I think maybe the cool thing to do would be to do Volume 1. which is like the Kevin Smith, Joe Quesada stuff, right? And then go forward and then just do like Brubaker, probably be like 7, 8, 9, maybe. No, 7 and 8. I think by 8 we'd be done with Brubaker, and then 9 would be like Diggle. So, you know, it's kind of like they're probably mapping this out, but I think it'd be nice if we went back and, you know, finished up Volume 1. Then we have 1 to 6. Then we can move forward. All right, Thor Epic Collection, The Surtur War. I have not been collecting Thor epics, but I picked up this because I've heard so much about the Walter Simonson run being like the best run on Thor. And I really like Walter Simonson. I like Louise Simonson. I like both of them doing stuff. This is just straight Thor 337 to 356. So I decided to jump in, and I gotta tell you, like, it's starting with the first debut of Beta Ray Bill is a hell of a way to get me hooked. I've been reading it. It's a little bit slower of a read because of the nature of like how Asgardian characters talk. It's the old English type stuff. Even though they're not really English, it's like a lot of these and thous and stuff. So I've been kind of reading it slowly. It's been allergies have been rough lately, so I feel like I've had a head cold for like 2 weeks, and so I haven't been really able to just kind of sit and binge read. That's why I'm only at 342. It's hard to sit and read this at night because I've been like sneezing and coughing all day. And my attention span, I don't think, is strong enough at the moment to be reading this. But it's fantastic. I'm quite enjoying it. I think if I get to the end of this and I'm still enjoying it, I will probably like pick up the, what is it? I think it's 14, 15, and 16. So it would be like 4 volumes in total for the Simonson run. Also, these are the original colors off the Masterwork remastering, as opposed to the Omnibus, which had modern colors. So love that too. It's good. It's really good. I just need to get like out of allergy season and then get into like, you know, the reading headspace to just read the rest of it. I really want to read more, but it's just been hard to read with the whole head cold type feeling going on with the allergies. All right, a completionism slot. X-Men Lonely Are the Hunted. This is epic number 2. This is the second volume of the original X-Men team. This is 24 to 45 plus Avengers 53 and some extra material. This got reprinted. Luckily, the reprint now has the classic X-Men logo instead of the modern one. This is past the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby stuff and into the Roy Thomas era. I've heard, you know, that over time, of course, X-Men gets better. I'm one of those people. I've read a little bit of the Stan Lee, Kirby stuff, and then I just jump to Claremont. I am not familiar with any of. Oh my God, that's a lot of words. I was just talking about Thor. Here we are. I don't have a problem with a lot of words on a page, but I do find when I read Silver Age comics sometimes, I'm not exactly sure like the point of some of the words. Like there'll be a text box describing what you're looking at. And I'm like, I know it was early days of the format and people weren't exactly sure what to deal with, but like, if you're going to say words, you know, like meaningfulness. I was just talking about how I like the Bendis Daredevil. Anyways, so I haven't read any of this. I will read this all eventually. I'm kind of waiting because I feel like they're going to reprint Volume 3, because like the only one they haven't reprinted from this early days. When they reprint Volume 3, by that point I'll probably be done reading the Claremont era in full. I'll jump back and I'll read 1 to 4. It may take me a few years. You know, I just got through Silver Age Legion of Superheroes Volume 3, which took me like 6 years. But you know what? I will eventually read all this early era. And it's going to be nice to read it in print, because I think that when it comes to Silver Age comics, if I'm fully locked in, it doesn't really matter what format it's in. But if it's a book like this where I'm not quite locked into this era, it's much better to have it in print than digital for me, because it just, the tactile feeling makes me still enjoy the experience, and I'm not enjoying the comics as much. Okay, I got this technically last month, but Target sent me a copy that was like folded in half, so here's my new copy. It's all new Wolverine, Modern Era Epic Collection Volume 1, The Four Sisters, the first half of Tom Taylor's Laura Kinney Wolverine comic run. It is 18 issues in an annual in a $55 cover price, because Epic pricing sucks now. I've been collecting all the Wolverine epics, so this is no different. And pretty much that's all I got on that. I think I mentioned in my Marvel Collecting Rules video that I was doing this, and I was like, they'll probably put all the Laura X23 stuff in epics. I don't need to get a Laura Omnibus. Hold that thought for later. So remember when I was talking about Marvel Collecting Rules, and then the John Cassaday Astonishing X-Men, I was going to get the epics, And then I realized the epics were just reskins of the complete collections, and I have the 2 complete collections, and I'm not spending all that money on modern epics that are too thin just for a spine. Yeah, so I did end up buying these. This was a result of redoing my comic shelves. The first thing that I want to say is that these 2 Astonishing X-Men Epic collections, Gifted and Unstoppable, are just these 2 collections. The Joss Whedon, John Cassaday Astonishing X-Men Complete collections. They are literally the same exact books. They just changed the cover and the trade dress so that it is slightly different, but the contents are literally the same. There was not a reason necessarily for me to rebuy these. They're not even that much different of a shelf thing, except for the spine, because these will now match all the spines on my shelf because my shelf is epics. These are not epics. These are. This price point of $40 for a thin book like that is kind of disgusting. It's up from $30 for this, which was kind of high for the time. I did not need to buy these, but I bought them anyways because while these are nice and they do look good on a shelf, these will actually match the new X-Men epics they sit next to on the shelf, as well as the other epics. And sometimes it's what you need, because I was looking at it and I was like, that's bugging me. Now, the other thing I needed, which was luckily provided, was that Amazon had this on sale for $13. Excellent. Target had a buy 2 get 1 on books. Made that $12. It's still a stupid purchase, but I feel less stupid because I got it cheap. All right, eBay time. Sins of Sinister. So, I've been collecting the Krakoa Age of Krakoa omnibuses, right? The anthologies. And one of the things the anthologies have been doing is skipping over events. And I've been trying to figure out and predict what events are going to be skipped over by the anthologies. And I've been kind of looking at some sources. I'm going to talk about this in a video soon. So, like, you know, don't try to take into information now. I'm going to figure this out in the future. But since I'm doing the anthology collections for Krakoa, I need the events. I already had X of Swords Inferno, X Lives, X Deaths, Judgment Day, and House of X, so I was covered there, but I did not have Sins of Sinister. I don't know if they're going to reprint Sins of Sinister. I don't know if Sins of Sinister is even going to be in the anthologies. I'm prepping myself for a future where Sins of Sinister is left out of the anthologies, and I need the hardcover, and Marvel doesn't do it, because for some reason they still haven't announced the X of Swords reprint that, you know, you kind of need, because it goes between 2 anthology volumes. This is all the Sins of Sinister, which is an alternate timeline where Sinister wins, and it shows what the possible futures are. It's a fun little mini event. At the time, I was like, this is neat, but I didn't really feel like I needed to buy the hardcover. Then I came to regret not doing that. Now, luckily, there are a bunch of copies of these out there. There's some eBay sellers selling them kind of expensive. I found an eBay seller that was selling it close to cover price, offered cover price, got it for cover price. I'll take that as a win at this point because now I have all the events that I think will be skipped over by the anthologies, so I'm good. Okay, yeah, remember that thing I said? That's where I'm at with Wolverine. I'm sticking to epics. I'll get Akihiro's Omni. I'll get Laura's stuff in epics. I feel like Laura's going to get epics. I feel like Akihiro's just not. Yeah, I got this because Fanaticals put it up for $40. It's the X-23 Omnibus. This is the, it's called X-23 Omnibus Volume 1. They never done a Volume 2. I think it's because, like, awkwardly, how do you? Because there's, like, I think a very short-lived, there's like 10 or 12 issue X-23 series. Then she's Wolverine. Then she goes back to X-23. Then she hasn't had anything since that's not Wolverine. So I don't exactly know what an X-23 Omnibus Volume 2 would be. But this one is very much focused on her solo stuff, not including the original NYX comic, thankfully. But it is X-23's 2005 miniseries, the Target X miniseries, the 2010 one-shot, the 21-issue run from 2010, the Captain Universe one-shot, the 2 issues of Doc and Dark Wolverine she crossed over with, and some extra stories. Very good omnibus, honestly. This is a Marvel Omni that... first of all, great read. Comics are amazing. That's the important part, is that the book is good. I really enjoyed this. It's kind of bringing her into the fold. But because a lot of her major appearances were done in X-Men and X-Force, the book doesn't include those and instead opts to just give you very long text recap pages, which works for me because, like, you know, I really, don't need all of the issues. This just kind of tells you everything that's going on in her life before her next solo book starts up. So you have context. I like it. I think all Omni should have those. Be very nice for a lot of these. Also, just wanted to shout out, I love this particular issue where Laura and Logan kind of meet for the first time, and she's really mad at him, and she's like, I'm going to try to, she tries to kill him, and he's just like, go for it. You know, I probably deserve it. I don't remember everything I've done, and, you know, whatever I did to you probably made it, you know, worth doing, but don't do it for my sake. Don't do it for your sake. Probably don't kill me, because it's probably going to weigh heavy on you, and I think it's just kind of a beautiful moment. Because, like, as much as, like, Logan is this, like, big berserker character, like, he's lived a long time, and he has these quiet moments, and this is, like, one of my favorites. So, great run. Really great run. I don't know if it's ever going to hit another format. I mean, if it hit Epic, it'd be weird, because it's like, this would be, like, what, 3 modern Epics, and it's $125 cover price. But, yeah, I only paid $40 for it. I was like, cool. And then I'm going to get the Doc and Dark Wolverine Omnibus. So I kind of have, like, Logan's kids in Omnis, and then Logan's stuff in Epics. That feels weird, but also appropriate. So that was the comic haul for March 2026. I think it was a pretty good one. A lot of great books. Some very weird overlapping decisions made. It's one of those things, like, I mentioned this with the X-Men, right? When you redo your shelves and you can see all your books, inconsistent spines bug you more. And if you can't fix it, like, there's a lot of DC spines you can't fix because there just isn't an option. But then when you find a couple good sales and you're like, I can fix that, you tend to want to do it. I don't say that's good financial advice, though. Don't listen to me on that. But I think some of you might understand what I'm talking about. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Hit the like button if you did. Hit the subscribe and notification bell if you did. If you haven't already, I appreciate all that. Really helps the channel. I have no idea. Like, likes and subscribes really are like life-changing algorithm things. So thank you for all that. If you want to continue your conversation, we have a comic channel in our Discord server. Come hang out, come discuss, have fun. Also be sure to check out channel memberships if you want perks like early access to videos and special shoutouts. Let's give some special shoutouts to some of our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including these Captain tier members: Spin-54, Forever1000, Masterman95, Super Shaddix Boom, Veloquince, Mr. Smelly Potato, Alt Mode Archive, Alice James, Taran Thomas, Fernando Pereira, Simple OS, Damien Yun, and Real Art. Bonus shout out to new Commander tier members Adrian Hernandez and NXT. Thank you all for your support of this channel, viewers and channel members alike. If you so wish, you can find me on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for comic reviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, see you in the next haul.